The ship was silent, except for a low beeping sound. Red lights blinked in the corners, casting shadows across the room. A man opened his eyes slowly, his head pounding. He blinked, confused, trying to remember where he was. The room was cold. And metallic, like a storage container, there were crates stacked along the walls. And the air smelled like oil and rust. He sat up, rubbing his head. There was a name stuck in his mind. Vera? But he didn't know who she was, or if she was even real. Suddenly, a loud crashing sound echoed from outside the door. The man jumped, heart racing. He looked around, searching for something to defend himself. Just then, the door opened with a hiss. A tall figure stepped inside, wearing alien armor, glowing faintly in the dark. It was a female, clearly not human. Her skin had a soft violet hue, and her eyes glowed like blue fire. She was breathing hard, as if she had run a long distance. Then she saw him and froze. "You're awake," she said, her voice low and nervous. That wasn't supposed to happen yet. The man stood, confused. "Who are you?" he asked. "Where am I?" The alien stepped closer, her armor clinking with each move. "You don't remember?" she whispered. "Good. Maybe that's better." She looked down at a small blinking device on her wrist. "We don't have much time," she said quickly. "This ship is crashing, and they're looking for you." "Looking? For me?" the man asked. "Why? Who am I?" She didn't answer, just walked over to one of the crates and opened it. Inside was a strange suit, half metal, half fabric. She tossed it toward him. "Put that on," she said. "You'll need it to breathe outside." He hesitated. "Can you at least tell me your name?" She paused, her cheeks darkening slightly. "Call me Kyra," she said, looking away. "And no peeking while I changed." The man blinked, surprised. She turned around and started removing her armor, revealing another thinner suit beneath. He quickly turned away, confused and embarrassed. This wasn't what he expected from an alien mercenary. As he put on the survival suit, more questions filled his mind. Who was he? Why was she helping him? And why was she blushing? Suddenly, the ship shook violently, throwing them both to the floor. Sparks burst from the ceiling as the lights dimmed. Kyra jumped up and pulled him toward the exit. "We need to move now," she said, "before the others find us." They ran through a narrow hallway filled with smoke and flickering lights. The walls groaned as the ship continued its slow fall toward the surface of a nearby planet as they reached the escape hatch. Kyra stopped and looked at him. "There's something you should know," she said, breathing hard. "You weren't cargo." He stared at her, confused. "You were the reason the ship was taken," she said. "You're not a prisoner, you're a weapon." The man's heart sank. "A weapon?" he repeated. "What does that even mean?" "I don't know the full story," Kyra admitted. "I was just hired to extract you. But when I touched your pod, I saw flashes, memories, battles, orders. You're not just human, you're something more." He stepped back, trying to process everything. "This has to be a mistake," he said, but a deep part of him whispered that maybe wasn't outside. The ship, the sky was bright with fire. The atmosphere was burning as the wreckage fell. Kyra pressed a button, and the hatch opened with a blast of wind. "I'm risking everything by helping you," she shouted over the noise. "They'll kill me if they find out you woke up early." "Why help me at all?" he asked. She looked at him with strange eyes, part fear, part curiosity. "I don't know," she said honestly. "Maybe I'm tired of following orders. Or maybe I want to know who you really are." He looked out at the wild alien planet below. Whatever this was, it was bigger than him. He didn't have a name or a past, but now he had a purpose. And a violet-skinned alien mercenary standing beside him. "Let's go," he said. Gripping the edge of the door, Kyra nodded. "Try not to die, human," she said with a small smile. "And remember, no peeking." Then they jumped, asterisk the fall. Should have killed them. Instead, they crashed through the canopy of alien trees, bounced off a broken wing of the ship, and landed in a pile of soft, glowing moss. The human coughed. Pulling off his cracked helmet, the sky above was purple, the trees tall and strange. Beside him, Kyra groaned and sat up, brushing dirt from her armor that was close, she said, blinking at the wreck behind them. Next time you do the landing. He looked at her, still shaken. I don't even know how to walk straight yet. Kyra laughed softly. But it didn't last long. Her face turned serious. As she scanned the horizon, we can't stay here, she said. They'll be tracking the ship's signature. She pulled out a small device and tapped a few buttons. A hologram appeared showing a map of the planet with blinking red dots. They're already here, she whispered. The bounty hunters. Why are they after me? He asked again. I'm just a guy who woke up in a box. She looked at him, studying his face. No, you're not, she said. You're not just cargo, not just human. She walked ahead, motioning him to follow as they moved through. Thick roots and glowing plants, the human noticed something strange. He could feel the land hear distant vibrations before they arrived. Every sound felt sharper, every movement faster. Like his body remembered things his mind had forgotten. Kyra, he said, how long was I asleep? She hesitated, long enough that most people forgot your name. She replied, some called you a myth, others called you a mistake. The path led them to a hidden cave, its entrance covered with vines. Inside, the temperature dropped, and Kyra lit a small energy torch. She sat down near an old terminal built into the wall. This is an old outpost, she explained, shut down during the Oran Wars. No one will find us here, not yet. The human touched the wall near the terminal. It lit up, glowing soft blue beneath his fingers. Kyra stood quickly, watching. With wide eyes, no way. She whispered, you activated it without a code. The screen came to life, showing strange symbols. Then, in clear English, it spoke. Welcome back, Commander. He stepped back, shocked. I don't remember this, he said, but it remembers me. Kyra's voice was quiet. I've seen soldiers enhanced with tech, implants, even alien DNA, but this is something else. She pointed at his arm under his skin, faint lines. Glowed circuit-like patterns pulsing slowly. You weren't trained, she said. You were built. He looked down at his hands. I don't feel like a weapon. Maybe not now, Kyra said. But someone spent a lot of time and power making sure you'd be dangerous. She sat down again. Finally letting her guard drop. I was hired. To pull you out of that lab, she confessed. Didn't know what you were. Didn't care until I touched your pod. He looked at her, surprised. What happened? I saw things, she said, her voice almost a whisper. Images, flashes. Planets burning, soldiers kneeling before you, and a little girl on a ruined moon. The air in the cave felt heavier now. I was that girl, Kira added. Quietly, you saved me long ago. Silence fell between them. Only broken by the faint hum of the terminal, he looked at her, unsure what to say. But I don't remember any of it. Kyra smiled sadly. Doesn't matter, she said. You still did it. And maybe now, you get a chance to do it again. Suddenly, the terminal beeped sharply. Kyra jumped to her feet, reading the data. They found the crash site, she said, and they're moving fast. She grabbed her rifle and threw him a small blaster. He caught it without thinking. The movement smooth to smooth. His hands knew how to aim, how to switch settings. His mind didn't, but his body remembered. Looks like the weapon is... Waking up, Kyra said with a half smile. He didn't answer, just stared at the blaster. Maybe I am a weapon, he said. But if I was built to kill, who was I meant to fight? Kyra loaded her rifle. Let's find out together, she said. And next time, don't ask too many questions. Why? I asked. Because the answers, she replied, are sometimes worse than the lies. It started with a whisper, so soft. The human thought it was just wind passing through the cave, but Kyra froze, eyes wide, like she'd just heard a scream only she could hear. Kyra, I asked, are you okay? She didn't answer. She stood still, breathing hard, her fingers twitching near the trigger of her weapon. Then her voice changed, flat, cold, like someone else was speaking through her. Target confirmed. Human asset located, she said. Preparing termination, the human backed away slowly, Kyra. He said again, louder this time, it's me. She turned toward him, rifle raised. Eyes glowing bright blue. Not the warm blue he saw before, but sharp, cold light, alien tech deep inside her had taken control. "I'm not your enemy," he said carefully, keeping his hands up. "You pulled me out, remember? You saved me." She twitched, her jaw clenched. Then suddenly, she dropped the rifle and grabbed her head. Too loud, she gasped. Too many voices, he rushed. To her side, she fell to her knees, shaking. It looked like she was fighting someone inside her own mind. "What's happening?" he asked. "I thought you were free." Kyra's voice came in broken words. "Not fully. I'm connected to the hive net. They see through me, hear through me." He stared, confused. "Hive net. It's how mercs like me stay." "In sync," she said through gritted teeth. "We're all linked, one mind, many bodies, but I'm different, broken." The human thought fast. She had saved him, protected him, even gone rogue, and now her own kind was using her. To track him, he stood and ran to the terminal. "Can this thing cut her off?" he asked. The system scanned and responded. "Warning, attempting to sever HiveNet connection may cause neural collapse." He looked back at her. She was shaking violently now, whispering words in a language he didn't understand. "I'm not letting them take you," he said. He started typing commands, fingers flying like muscle memory. Lines of code filled the screen to advance for someone who claimed he remembered nothing. The terminal beeped, firewall activated, HiveNet signal, blocked temporary only. Kyra collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, her eyes dimmed back to normal, skin pale and damp. He rushed to her side. Hey, are you okay?" She opened her eyes slowly. "You blocked them," she whispered. "How did you even know how to do that?" "I don't," he said. "My body does." He looked at his hands again, wondering what else they knew. "It's like I was made for this." Kyra sat up slowly, exhausted. "But aware I could have killed you," she said, her voice trembling. "They were inside my head watching you through me." He didn't answer right away. Instead, he offered her water. "Helped her lean against the cave wall? Next time," he said. "Warned me before the whole robot assassin thing?" She gave a weak laugh. "I told you I was dangerous." She said, "I just didn't think to myself." Outside, the wind picked up, and faint sounds echoed through the trees. The bounty hunters were closing in. "You need rest," he said. "I'll keep watch." "No," Kyra said, sitting up straight. "There's a base, not far from here in a neutral zone." "No hive, no bounty laws," he nodded. "Let's go before they reboot your brain again." They packed up fast and moved through the forest. Kyra was slower now, clearly hurting, but her eyes stayed sharp, always watching. After hours of walking, they reached the edge of a cliff. Below was a small outpost built into the side of the mountain. "Sanctuary," Kyra said. "For now," but the human wasn't looking at the base. He was staring at a statue near the entrance stall, worn by wind, but clear. It was him, same face, same eyes, holding a sword of light and wearing a commander's uniform. "What the hell?" muttered. Kyra stepped beside him, quiet, looks like they haven't forgotten you after all. He turned to her, mind racing. "Who was I?" She stared at the statue too. "Someone important," she said, "and someone they were afraid of." He looked back down at the outpost, fear and purpose mixing in his chest. "I think it's time I started remembering." Kyra nodded. "And I'll be here unless I turn evil again." She smirked weakly. He chuckled. "Fair deal." They walked down the path together. The past was chasing them, but now he was ready to start chasing it back. Asterisk, the first rule of a neutral zone was simple: don't start trouble. The second rule: if trouble finds you, act like you don't see it. The human and Kyra walked side by side through the outer gates of the mountain base. Tired, dirty, and silent, they passed scanners, guards, and suspicious aliens with glowing eyes. Nobody stopped them. Nobody wanted to. Inside the base, lights were dim and flickering, the air full of smoke, spice, and alien languages. Kyra led the way, but her steps were uneven. The fight in her head had left damage, not just physical. She was shaking, even if she tried to hide it. They entered a small storage room behind a bare walls. 2 chairs, and an old bunk. Kyra dropped her gear and sat down hard. I need to recalibrate my armor core, she said, opening a panel near her neck. It's fried from the HiveNet lockout. The human was about to ask what he could do when she suddenly stood. Oh, and turn around, she said quickly. I have to change the inner suit and, No peeking, human, he blinked, confused, seriously. After fighting off bounty hunters and brain hacks, now you're shy? She crossed her arms, face flushed purple. Yes, I'm still a person. Thank you very much. He raised both hands and turned his back with a sigh. All right. Honor system behind him. He could hear soft clicks. The sound of metal and fabric shifting. His mind wandered. Who was she really? A soldier? A rebel? A scared girl behind tough armor? And more importantly, why had she risked everything? For him? I don't get you, he said out loud, still facing the wall. You could have dumped me back in that cave and saved yourself. There was silence. Then her voice came. Softer this time. I saw something, she said when I touched your pod the first time. What did you see? She hesitated. You. Standing alone in a ruined city, everything around you was on fire. And you just looked up at the sky like you were waiting for something. He turned slightly, still not looking directly. Waiting for what? I don't know, she said, but I remember thinking, no one should look that lonely. There was another pause, then a grunt. OK, suits and armor. Almost back online. Can I turn around now? He asked, half smiling. Not yet, she snapped. But it sounded less sharp, more flustered. Do you humans not have privacy? He chuckled. We have sarcasm, and you're hearing it now. Ugh, annoying species. She muttered, then added, ... Okay, done. He turned to see her locking the last piece of her chest plate in place, eyes avoiding his. The moment passed. Quiet, but warm. Then suddenly the door beeped. Both of them turned instantly on alert. Kyra raised her sidearm. Dormed. The human grabbed the old blaster from his belt. The door opened slowly, and a tall figure stepped in. Robed, masked, but unmistakably familiar. The human's eyes narrowed. He didn't know why. But he recognized this person. Commander, the figure said, voice filtered and calm. You've returned. Kyra took a step forward. Back off. She warned, Who are you? The figure didn't move. I am the archivist, it said. I've waited many years for you to awaken. The human lowered his weapon slightly. You know me? I knew the man you were, the archivist replied. And I fear the man you may become again. A cold silence filled the room. Then the figure tossed something small onto the table, an old data chip. Play this when you're alone, it said, and decide whether your past is worth remembering. Before they could stop it, the archivist vanished into the hallway. Kyra looked down at the chip, then at the human. Something tells me this place isn't as neutral as we thought. He picked up the chip, turning it over in his hand. There was a symbol burned into the side. He didn't know what it meant, but it felt familiar, like a word just at the edge of memory. You gonna play it? Kyra asked quietly. He nodded slowly. Yeah, he said, but I'm not watching it alone. She smirked. Fine, but no peeking through my armor while I cry. He grinned. Deal. As the chip slid into the terminal, the screen lit up. A face appeared, his own, but older, colder. A version of himself he didn't remember becoming, and the first words were simple. If you're seeing this, then everything has failed. The video played like a warning wrapped in a whisper. A man with the same face, but colder, older, and sharper stared into the screen. If you're seeing this, then everything has failed. The recording began. And you've forgotten who you are, which means you're finally safe. Or very, very dangerous. The human sat still, his breath caught in his throat. Kyra stood behind him, arms crossed, eyes locked on the screen. Neither spoke as the message continued. We're the last of the Vanguard Command, the past. Version said, a program built to protect the galaxy. But twisted by those who feared it, the screen flickered, showing flashes of warships burning. Worlds shattered. When they couldn't control us, they tried to erase us. The message ended with coordinates and a final warning. If you ever come here, it means the past is hunting you. Again, trust no one. Then silence. The screen went dark, and the room felt colder. Kira broke the silence. You were Commander, she said softly, built to protect, not destroy. He stood, fists clenched. Then why do I feel like a weapon that broke its leash? Kira stepped forward and gently placed something in his hand, a memory crystal. Because that's what they want you to believe, she said. This was in the archivist's bag before he vanished. Ty swiped it. He looked at the crystal, shimmering, pulsing faintly. What is it? A vault key, Kira replied, if we find the right interface. It can unlock personal memory files direct to brain transfer. He stared at it, unsure. What if I don't like what I see? Kira looked into his eyes. Then we deal with it together, she said. Just promise me one thing. What? Do you remember that you were some kind of galactic hero? Don't turn into a galactic jerk, he smiled faintly. No promises. They left the neutral zone that night. Traveling through old supply tunnels and hidden paths, Kira moved with caution. Still shaken by the HiveNet intrusion, the human said little, the crystal burning like a secret in his pocket. After 2 days of walking, they reached a forgotten station, built into the cliffs abandoned since the Oran Wars. But power still hummed deep underground, and deep inside, there it was, a working neural dock. Are you sure about this? Kira asked, voice low. He nodded, stepping into the chair. Once it starts, she warned. You can't stop the upload. Everything you see, you feel like you're living it again. He closed his eyes. Maybe that's exactly what I need. The machine came to life. Lines of blue energy wrapping around his head. The crystal was inserted. And the vault opened. Suddenly he was there. Not in the room, not in the station, but in a memory. A battlefield under a black sky. He stood in armor, gold and silver, holding a command blade in one hand and giving orders with the other. His voice was sharp, focused. Evacuate Sector 7, he shouted. Shield wall to the east. Don't let them flank. Aliens, humans, machines, they all followed him without question. Because back then, he wasn't just a soldier, he was the commander. He watched helplessly as the scene played out. His past self charging into enemy lines, fighting not with rage, but purpose. And then a flash, betrayal, a strike from behind. He saw the face of the person who stabbed him in the back, an old friend. Orders changed, the traitor had whispered. They want you gone, he gasped, eyes flying. Open, the dock shutting down. Kira rushed to his side. What did you see? He stood slowly, body shaking. I was their leader, he said, voice low, and they erased me. Kira put a hand on his arm. They couldn't kill you, she said, because they needed you. They didn't need me, he replied. They needed a weapon, one they could control. He turned to her. But I'm not controlled anymore. She nodded. No, she said, now. You choose who you become. A soft beep echoed from the terminal. Another file had unlocked, this one hidden deep inside the vault. Just a name. Blinking slowly, Project ECH. Kira frowned. What's that? The human stared at the screen. His voice was cold, steady. Something they were afraid I'd remember. Outside in the shadows, something watched the station. A dark figure with a HiveNet receiver blinked once, then sent a message across the stars. Subject awakened, memory returning, protocol shift, activate echo, asterisk. The first shot wasn't heard. It was felt. A pulse of red light sliced through the rock wall just inches from the human's head. The explosion threw dust into the air. Shaking the memory station beneath their feet, Kira didn't hesitate. She pulled him behind a support beam. Gun drawn, eyes sharp, armor humming with power. They found us, she said, breathing hard. Too fast. They shouldn't have gotten here this quick. They did, he replied, glancing at the blown entryway. And they're not here to talk through the smoke. Shadows moved, 3 hive-linked mercenaries. Armor black and sleek, no words, no mercy, just precision. They moved like they shared one mind, because they did. Kira fired first short bursts to push them back. The human grabbed the blaster from his belt, but something inside him shifted. His hands moved before his brain caught up. He rolled out, fired, and hit one in the joint between shoulder and chest. Perfect shot. The body collapsed, sparking. The other two turned in perfect sync, aiming for him. Kyra leapt between them and shouted, "No!" Her voice wasn't just a warning, it was command. The two stopped, hesitating. That hesitation was all she needed. She hit the ground, spun, and dropped them both with electric rounds. Silence returned, but only for a second. Then Kyra stumbled back, clutching her side. She'd been grazed plasma burn just under the rib. He ran to her, grabbing her before she fell. "Stay with me," she winced, blood soaking her suit. "I'm fine," she said through gritted teeth. "I've had worse." "Liar," he muttered, helping her to sit against the wall. "You always bleed when you're fine?" "Only on Tuesdays," she joked weakly, then looked at him with steady eyes. "They weren't bounty hunters," she said. "They were mine from the hive net." "Why would your own come for you?" he asked. "Because I'm not one of them anymore," she replied, "and the hive doesn't forgive." He looked down at her wound, then at the blaster in his hand. "I'm the reason you're bleeding." "No," she whispered, "they are. You didn't ask to be made into a weapon, but I chose to protect you." He stared at her for a long moment. "Why?" She smiled faintly. "Because when I look at you, I don't see a weapon. I see someone still trying to be good." Evan, when the galaxy told him he was bad, he didn't know what to say. So he said nothing. Then the room buzzed, static, and light from the center of the terminal. A figure appeared, projected in the air. It was the same man from the memory recording, his past self, standing tall, dressed in command gear. But this time it wasn't a message. It was a personality. Imprint part of him saved inside the vault, AI based on who he used to be. "You shouldn't have come here," the imprint said. "Project Echo is still alivened. If they find her," it nodded at Kyra, "they'll use her against you." The human stepped forward. "She's not a tool," he said, voice sharp. "She's with me." The imprint shook its head. "She's connected, even if she wants to break free. She will always be a threat to your mission." Kyra looked down, eyes burning. The human turned and crouched beside her. "I don't care what I was," he said. "I care who I am, no and. I choose you." She looked up. "Surprise, you choose me?" "You're not just some mercenary," he said. "You're the only one who saw me before I knew who I was." He stood, turned to the imprint. "Delete the echo file. You'll lose access to high command systems," the imprint warned. "You'll lose tactical memory, ship control, weapons override." "Then I'll learn the hard way," he said, "because I'm not doing this without her." The imprint paused, then slowly nodded. "Request acknowledged, Commander." The light faded, and with it the last piece of his old self. Kyra stared at him, a strange mix of confusion and warmth in her eyes. "You're such an idiot," she said. "I know," he replied. "But I'm your idiot now," she laughed, then groaned in pain. Don't make me laugh when I'm leaking from the ribs." He helped her up carefully. "Come on, soldier," he said. "You're not dying on me." As they left the station, hand in hand, a signal echoed across space in a dark lab. Far from any star, a monitor lit up. "Project Echo compromised. Asset bond confirmed. Prepare final protocol." They didn't wait for war. It came to them 3 days after leaving the vault. The sky above Outpost Vega turned black, not with storm clouds, with ships black, sharp, and silent HiveNet assault cruisers. From the top of the ridge, the human stood, watching them descend, Kyra beside him, her armor sealed, ribs still wrapped tight. Her face calm, but her eyes holding fear. "That's not a retrieval team," she said quietly. "That's a purge," he nodded once. "Then let's give them a reason." Below them, the old Vanguard ship, one of the last he ever commanded, powered up. Dust fell from its hull as systems lit for the first time in years. Inside the cockpit, wires and panels glowed in soft blue, responding to his touch. It was like the ship knew him. Because it did, Kyra walked in behind him, staring around in disbelief. "You sure this thing can still fly?" "No," he said, flipping switches. "But I'd rather crash in something I remember than hide in something I don't." She smiled. "That's the stupidest, most human thing I've ever heard." He grinned. "Thanks," as the ship lifted. Off, the Hive fleet locked onto them instantly. Dozens of ships moved in formation, quiet, calculated, cold. Kyra took the rear gun, already sinking her suit with the ship's old system. Then the transmission came. A voice filled the ship, echoing from every speaker, flat, emotionless, familiar. Project extinct. Your recall order has expired. You are now a hostile entity. Termination authorized. The human leaned forward, eyes locked on the fleet. I've been erased, he whispered. But I'm still here. Kyra's voice crackled. Overcomes weapons ready, but they'll swarm us if we stay in open sky. Then we don't give them a clean shot, he said. He dove the ship into the canyon, forcing the hive to break formation. Lasers rained down, lighting up the rocks. Kyra fired back with perfect timing. Hitting 2 drones out of the sky, her eyes burned with purpose now. This wasn't about contracts anymore. It was about him. They reached a clearing near an old command relay tower. This is it, he said. I need to reach the central uplink. Are you insane? Kyra shouted. That tower's a fossil, maybe, he said, grabbing the memory crystal from his belt, but it still holds the override code. If I plug this in, I can shut down the hive's authority protocols, make them blind, and what if it fries your brain? He looked back at her. Then I hope you have a plan B. They landed hard, smoke rising from the rear thruster. The moment the hatch opened, gunfire rained down. Kyra covered him as he sprinted toward the tower, diving behind broken consoles. She took hits, one in the leg, one in the shoulder, but kept moving. She was fighting more than drones. She was fighting her own past at the uplink core. The human shoved the crystal in. The system hesitated, sparked, then flared to life. Vanguard code recognized. Override in progress. In the sky above, the hive ships froze. Then one by one their lights dimmed. Weapons powered down on the ground. The remaining units paused, then collapsed. Kyra looked around, panting. You did it. He dropped to his knees, drained. The system draining everything he had left. Kyra ran to him, dropping her weapon, grabbing his shoulders. Hey, stay with me, she said. You're not allowed to die. He smiled faintly. I thought I was extinct. She touched his face. Not extinct, she whispered. Evolved. The wind picked up around them. Soft and quiet, above, the hive fleet began to scatter, lost without their network brain. Below, one man and one mercenary sat in the middle of what was once a war zone, now silent, now free. He looked up at her with tired eyes. You never peeked at my file, did you? She smiled. Nope, not even a little. Okay, once, she admitted, just to see if you were single. Laughed, then groaned. Oh, okay, that hurt more than the hive. She leaned in, resting her forehead against his. Next time someone tells me to erase you, she whispered, I'm telling them they're already too late, because she remembered him now. And now so did he. Not as a weapon, not as a ghost from a forgotten war, but as a man who chose to be more. Project Extinct was no more. He was human, and he was home.